decided to make a chess video again for a change. And one of the openings I haven't really explored yet is the Slav defense. So that's why I wanted to take a look at it. It starts with d4, d5, c4, c6. Of course, other move orders are also possible, but this is the main idea. And here some lines that can occur are knight c3, e5, the win over counter gambit, or knight c3, e6, going to the semi-Slav defense, or c takes d, c takes d, the exchange variation, or knight f3, e6, again going to the semi-Slav, or knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, which is the main line. And from the main line, black can play a6, he can play d takes c4, which is the Slav accepted. If black plays the Slav accepted, then white can play, for example, a4, the Alapine variation. Now black can play knight a6, the Smyslov variation, or e6, the Sultanbayev variation, or bishop f5, the Czech variation. Here white can play e3, the Dutch variation, or knight e5, the Krause attack, or knight h4. Black can also play bishop g4 on the fifth move, and this is called the Steiner variation. White can play e3 on the fifth move, and this is the Alekhine variation. He can also play e4, which is called the Slav gambit. Black can also play e6 on the fourth move, still transposing to the semi-Slav defense, or g6, called the Schlechter variation. And white can also play e3 on the third move, which is called the Slav declined. Okay, so those were the main variations in the Slav defense. Let's look at them a little bit closer. First, some traps. If white plays knight c3 on the third move, then black can't play bishop f5, because white can take on d5 and play queen b3, which wins a pawn, since the b7 pawn and the d5 pawn are both threatened. Also, knight c3, knight f6, e3, bishop f5 is bad because of the same reason. White takes on d5, plays queen b3, black goes bishop c8, and now white can play f4, followed by knight f3 and knight e5, and he has a big advantage. If white plays 3, knight f3, black plays knight f6, and then white plays e3, the Slav declined. Usually game continues here, bishop f5. So here bishop f5 is playable, and the Slav declined. Now white often takes on d5, and the game is quite equal. Black can also play bishop g4 here. So the main line continues with knight c3, and here bishop f5 is again bad for the same reasons. So e6 or d takes c are possible, and lately also a6 has been discovered. So if black plays the Slav accepted, then white has a few choices. He can go for the Slav gambit, after which black usually plays b5. Or he can continue with e5, which is called the Geller-Tolush gambit. Here black knight goes to d5, and now white plays a4 followed by e6. White can also just play e3 here, the Alekhine variation, or a4, which was the Alapin variation. Here if black plays a6, then the lines can get tricky. Game may transpose into the complex Meron variation of the semi-Slav, and this is what it looks like. So this is the Meron variation of the semi-Slav, which I'll probably look at closer in another video. Black can also play knight a6, the Smyslov variation, with an idea of bringing the knight to b4, or bishop f5, the Czech variation. Here white can play e3, the Dutch variation, and if black plays knight a6 here, then it's called the Dutch Lasker variation. Sharper than e3 is knight e5, the Krause attack. Now black can just play knight d7, and white can take on c4. Black can play queen c7, but perhaps better is e6, then f3, bishop b4, and e4. And here there's a complicated piece sacrifice. Black takes on e4, white might want to play bishop d2, queen takes d4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4, queen e2, bishop takes d2, king takes d2, queen d5 check, king c2, and knight a6. Black can also play bishop g4 here, which is the Steiner variation, also known as the Bronstein variation. So that was a little bit more detailed look than before. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks, bye.